I was managing director of Nanam India. I left in 2009 early, and I was to start the next phase of my journey after leaving Bayer. I was not having anything in mind, but I was looking around that how can I contribute more, because my last 2 decades journey was very good. I started with Proagro, and Proagro was one of the fast growing company at that time between 88 to 98, and sold at the price at that time which is much higher than any company can think today. We were very successful in Proagro, and then Proagro sold to Bayer, and I came to Bayer, and Bayer asked me to run their vegetable program in 98, 99 as a Nanam Seeds, which is a Dutch company. So I started their operation in India at a very low level of around 4 crore turnover. But I was a little bit determined that I want to make this company number one in India. And that I started the vegetable seed space at that time. And even my promoters in the Dutch people, they say that how it is possible that there are companies who are 30, 40-year-old, they are operating in India. How you can become number one? I say, no, we have different way of working. So I started again with because my interest in breeding, my qualification in breeding, so made me to make breeding little different. And we started releasing the products. And from 98 to 2008, in that decade, Nanam became number one when I left. And that time, even dreaming of a vegetable seed company to achieve 100 crore turnover was only a dream. Because most of the companies, bigger companies like Namdhari, even the company like Indo-American, they were below 100 mark. Even Myco. Nobody crossed 100 crore. And in 2008, Nanam was the first company to have achieved 120 crores. But then I said, okay, let me look into another venture now. And I come across, there are many options came, but then Rasi Seed, Dr. Ramasamy, he said, I wanted to start vegetable section of my company, because they were only a cotton company. I say, fine, if you give me the choice of building this company, you have to invest and give me independent. I will make this company for you. So that is how I started in 2009. I was the first person to join in the March 2009. And then I started hiring people. Fortunately, that people from my previous company, when I advertised, all the middle management applied to me. I was surprised that why they want to come to a startup when they are all sitting in the multinational. But all decided that no, we want to work with you. So that is how we started the journey with very few people in 2009. And 2010 we started our operations for producing seed. And we started with the public varieties, OPs, which are publicly available, and building up our R&D. And I was the first person to start breeding in 21 crops in the beginning. 21 crops, nobody was breeding in 21 crops, including the coal crops where Indian companies were not breeding at all. So we started investing. And my investors were worried that he is putting money in those crops where nobody is doing it. I said, don't worry, dividends will come. So we invested huge amount of money at that time. At that time, as per turnover, we invested 25% in the R&D, which was highest in the industry benchmark. But I know that the dividends will come with this kind of breeding. So we pushing our breeders, doing the things very differently. And by 2013, the money invested, I was started breaking even.
Within how many years?
Within 3-4 years, 4 years, 3 to 4 years. And then our products were accepted so rapidly, and our people were so aggressive in pushing it. Both way it works. And by 2016, we crossed 100 crores. And which was the fastest in the industry, which people couldn't do even 30 years. And then we keep on doing it. But the first company released cabbage hybrid, bred in India, carrot hybrid, bred in India, Norcol hybrid, bred in India, onion hybrid, now we are testing, bred in India. These are some of the firsts which we did it. There's a lot of investment gone, but we have done it. Double haploid lab, people were not even thinking to establish. People who are working here for 40 years, Then now after I put it in Nunam also and here, people say, oh, this is a good technology. This is a very low hanging technology. And now my lab is the biggest in the industry for double haploids in Kulu.
Okay, great.
So what we are, I think the major success rate is first the people. We must recognize that people make the companies, not the money. Right people, right frame of their mind, and right training. So people are very important. Then investments. The investor should be very good, ready to invest for long-term dividend. Never in this business run for short-term gains, because short-term gains will lead you very short-term company, because you will go up and down very fast. So the two factors which we kept very strongly: investors cooperated well, people we have rightly, and then the technical know-how in doing breeding, which was our core focus. These three things made us successful, and we kept our principles very good in the market also. Today, we have very strict policies. We never allow dealer to dominate us, which most of the companies they do. They throw the material and take back, and money is kept. For the last 4 years, we have zero outstanding in the end of the year. Zero outstanding.
Huge, sir.
No return. My return is less than 1%, that too because of the season failures, or that the only. We are taking no returns. Supply material in best quality within shortest span of time. We have best infrastructures to create. You see in the very short time how expensive our machines which we use, automatic packing, best quality we provide. So I think components we put it ingredient much better than others. That is how you distinguish yourself. So that is what made it. It's not me, it is the whole team, it is the investor, everybody cooperated, and today they made us very successful.
So today you are in the top
Top 5,
5. Okay.
4 are multinational.
Okay. In top Indian company today is
Highways today.
Highways today. Great. Okay, you started now. You are an Indian-made company. You are top number 1 in India.
Yeah.
What about other countries? How you are operating?
See, now because we have started selling our products, we already started 3-4 years back testing our products. Now we are selling in Vietnam, we are selling in Thailand, we are selling in Indonesia, we are selling in Myanmar, we are selling in Bangladesh, Nepal, Sri Lanka, Pakistan, and now we are moving to Middle East and Africa.
So what will be the percentage of your?
At present is very small.
Very small.
At present is very small because it is just expanding, trialing, because outside to build a market takes time. We don't have any person yet outside, we are working through third party, but always these business built when you start building up your own organization outside.
Okay. So you have an ambition to reach out to other countries as you are developing?
Yes, we are looking into that, we are looking into collaborations, we are looking into with other people who are already strong, because naturally investments are required.
Okay.
So at present, we still think that we have to grow more to invest our things. So I think this is how we want to go, but surely we have ambitions to go out. But keeping very strong base in India, make Indian farmers to get the best product. But our companies are doing it, and we are also doing it. But as an Indian company, we want to outshine.
So as an Indian company, what do you feel the farmers should do?
See, what my suggestion is that farmers training, farmers agronomy, farmers soil management inputs should be improved. Now, this can only be done through extension programs, which are at present very weak in India. Because as a company we are doing something, but we can't reach to the farmers, all farmers. So there is a huge infrastructure created by government. A government should intervene that, see, government should look into two things. There is a good material supplier, whether you fertilizer, chemicals, seed, machinery, but how to use it, how to make it more viable, how to get that potential yield which we created as a actual yield in the farmer's field. Now farmer is not doing the right because he is not knowledgeable. He said just put the seed, put some fertilizers, he expect timely operations. You see outside India, why they are successful, why they make agriculture as a industry. They think if as I'm going into my factory every day, I have to go to the field every day, look into things. But in India, we call it, it is a lazy man job, and you sit home, send your labor, and they can do. No, this is not possible. So we have to make agriculture as an industry. Ask farmers, farmers who become professional farmers. They grow properly. They take, now some youngsters are coming, but that percentage is very small. More and more farmers become professional. More and more education is given. More and more the whole recipe is given to the farmers. Whatever potential we have created in the seed or other things should be exploitable at the farmer's field to the similar extent. If I say 120 ton yield will come, it should be 120 ton at the farmer's field. It should not be 80 ton or 70 ton or 60 ton. It should be reciprocated the same way which I created. But at present it is not happening. You talk to agriculture scientists in ICR system, they say potential, there is a different for the last 10 years, 20 years, they're talking the same thing. The potential yield is 70 ton, actually yield is 40 ton. So what we are doing? So what is the fun in creating 70 ton when farmer is not getting 70 ton? Today our yields, if you see today, what is the yield of rice? We have 44 million hectare. Our production is 120 million ton this year. What is the average? 3.5. When China is getting 5.5, 6 ton, we are still lower. That means somewhere some gaps are there. Similarly in other crops. So we have to do something to match subsidies, other mechanisms, giving farmers 6,000 now for every crop season or a yearly basis for purchasing. But that should be in total deployable. The farmer should have the better seed, should have better agronomy, should have better growing things, better training. Only then he can get the real value.
Dr. Sir, are you looking forward for protected cultivation habits also?
Yes, we are, but I think first of all we have to see the protected cultivation training programs in India. People are just following it up. And you know that, I don't know whether you did survey, I think this you can do survey. How many poly houses are installed by subsidies or other methods? How many are working better? How much farmers are happy with it? How much outcome with the investment they are getting? I think you will get the answer. So first thing is that do in a very pilot scale in one area or two areas, government should select it. We will all help it. We will start once we know the potential there to develop product like that. Certainly we will do that. Some products are coming outside which are very expensive. You know that each seed costs 7 to 8 rupees, 9 rupees, 10 rupees. But if crop fails, the losses are very high to the farmers. And it happened also. So I think the first thing is that proper knowledge conditions. Make a very successful 1 or 2 states or district, whatever you want to do. And then move forward that this is the training is required, because today if you see half of the poly houses, the insect problem is coming inside, the disease problem is coming inside, mite problem is coming inside. It is uncontrollable because once they go inside it is very difficult to control.
So then the meaning of protection is itself is
Yes.
finished.
So today if you see the farmers, if I saw one of the farmer in Ludhiana, Avtar Singh, he has given land to the Rexwan, so I went to there see their growth. They grow in soilless conditions. Tomatoes are wonderful, the capsicum is wonderful. This is the protected cultivation. When yield in Holland at present, tomato yield per hectare protected cultivation is 450 tons. And they are upscaling to 600 ton now. Can you imagine?
What is the one with this Punjab guy is getting?
No, he's doing good, but it's a small. They are doing research there. So what I'm saying is that training. What is a protected cultivation mean? In protected cultivation, people don't use the soil. It is totally programmed supply of nutrients. It is totally soilless. They don't waste energy in the root system. Everything is up growing, and without roots, tomato is growing 40 feet, 50 feet and giving you yield which is very good tomatoes. That is the protected cultivation. It is not that just put the polythene and then put in the soil. The soil is not good, the diseases are there, and what you are getting outside, inside you are getting more problem. It is possible. Everything is good, but provided good training, good methodology, good things you should
Good
propagate.
Good infrastructure.
Yeah, and it should be with knowledge. See, today you want to start an industry. Will you not get the knowledge first that I'm going to start this industry? What is the intricacies? How I should start? What is the investment? What should the machinery? How should I run? Where the expert people are available? What is the outcome? Where I sell my product? Isn't it? You will do all study. Where in agriculture? You ask any protected farmer, do you have this study? No. They don't know where to sell. They don't know how to grow. They put it in the infrastructure.
So thank you, sir.
Thank you, Dr. Sir.
Yeah, thanks a lot.